going to record this.
Excellent.
And we do have 3 people who are attendees, but I'm not sure if they want to testify. If they could let me know in the chat box, that would be helpful.
Perfect. Thank you. The chat. See if I can get the chat over here. All right. I should have had one other monitor going for this. Okay. So with that, then let me go back here. All right, we'll go this way. All right, then we'll begin the meeting of the Beaverton Traffic Commission. Knock, knock, knock. Today is Thursday, November 5th, 2020. We'll begin with roll. And again, everybody should have your note-taking manual with you at all times for any kind of comments or notes that you write down during the meetings. And we need a verbal affirmation or negation on any item or roll call going on. So Commissioner Brown?
Present.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Cohn?
He is not going to be here.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Vice Chair McClean?
Present.
Commissioner Bobadilla?
She is not going to be here either.
Very good. And Commissioner Urbanski?
Present.
Excellent. And then Chair Conway. So we do have a quorum this evening, and we can continue with our most excellent items. Next up is visitor comments for anything that is not on the agenda. Stephanie, did we have anyone or comments or emails?
Not that I know of.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next up then is the staff comments for any items that we need to partake in. Mr. Khasho?
I don't have any comments.
Excellent. I'm going to close that window. Very good. Next up then is the consent items. This has 2 items on it, the meeting minutes from the last time we met. This commission met on October 1st, 2020. And also an update for TC 811, the time extension for First Street closure between Watson Avenue and Washington Avenue, which we had done previously. As a consent agenda item, go back. I'd make a motion that we approve consent agenda items with the meeting minutes and the TC 811 extension.
Just so you know, I can vote on the extension, but I can't vote on the meeting minutes, so because I was not at the last meeting. So I don't know if you want to split them up, or if my vote doesn't count, then I guess it doesn't matter. I'll just abstain from both. But
no, we can do. Let's do two. Let's do 2 consent agendas. Is that all right, Mr. Khasho?
Yes, and what you need to do, it hasn't been seconded yet.
Correct.
What Commissioner Henderson could do is he could say he'll vote for the 811 and abstain on the minutes.
All right, why don't we do that?
Yeah, and the motion will pass, you know.
is it 811?
Yeah.
Yes.
TC 811 is on consent, yeah.
So I'm seconding with conditions that I'm voting for 811 and I'm abstaining from the consent agenda. Other than
Perfect. Thank you. With that in mind, then we need a verbal yay or nay. Commissioner Henderson?
Okay.
Commissioner Cohn?
He's not here.
Oh, wait, did I go the wrong way? Commissioner Brown.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
did we get a second?
Yes, Mr. Henderson made the motion seconded with the understanding that he was voting for 811 and abstaining from the meeting minutes. Okay, so with that in mind, then we'll do a roll call. And I'm sorry, I went the wrong way then. Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
All right. Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Khan is gone. Vice Chair McClean?
Yes.
Commissioner Urbanski?
Aye.
And Chair Conway, aye. All right, so Consent agenda passes by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0 for the 8/11 extension and 4-0, 1 abstain for the meeting minutes. All right, very good. Thank you then. Before we begin the public hearing, we have 2 of them, TC 812 speed zone for Southwest Denney Road and 813 speed zone on Lombard. Mr. Khasho, did you want to do the order for Lieutenant Schaer, or do you want to wait until, does that come under end of meeting?
Could you repeat, please?
I understand there's the transition from Lieutenant Schaer to our new representative, and I do not have that on the agenda. So do you want to do that before the
No,
public?
it should have happened during staff comments, but we could do it now. It's okay.
Gonna make him, I'm writing that down in my book. All right, then,
All right.
let's go ahead and do that. Lieutenant Schaer?
All right, guys, thank you. I just want to say it's an honor to have been on this commission for the last probably 13 years. And I'm happy to come back anytime you guys want me. So I got promoted permanently to the traffic lieutenant spot, and I'm lucky enough to have Sergeant Jeremy Shaw, who just got assigned as the traffic sergeant. He was one of my traffic officers for a while. He was a school resource officer for a while. He was our public information officer for a while, and then he got promoted to sergeant, and now he's back in traffic. So he'll be attending the meeting like I have for the last many years, and I have 100% confidence that Jeremy will do you guys great. Very knowledgeable, very proactive, so you guys are in good hands. But if you want me just to come back once in a while, I'm happy to do it. So it's been a pleasure working with all of you.
It's been a pleasure, sir. I think that you have been here the entire time of my tenure, which you said 10 years, 12 years?
No, I think it's, well, so there was a period of time when I became the traffic sergeant and nobody told me I was supposed to attend these. And then I met Jabra, and he was like, well, I put your name plaque out every day or every meeting, and you never come. What's up? And so then I think that was the first few months of my traffic sergeant job. And then I think I've been there ever since, somewhere probably between 12 and 13 years.
All right, excellent. Yeah, I think you've been here the whole tenure I've had. I think I've been here 8-ish. Oh, well done, and we appreciate the work. I think you've done a complete service to the entire city and to the force and to this commission as well. So we appreciate everything you've done, especially coordination and all of the work, both above and kind of outside the job too.
Well, thank you. And you guys have definitely made it easy on me. You don't ask too many hard parking questions and stuff. I brought Ed in just for that reason. So, so anyway, thank you so much. And if you guys ever need anything, shoot me an email, let me know. And when the In-N-Out Burger comes, I'll make a special appearance for that traffic commission meeting. So thank you. And I'm going to drop off, and you guys are in great hands. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Sergeant Shaw, thank you. Appreciate your stepping up and taking over. And Senator Mastripolito, we thank you for your time and attending as well. So appreciate it.
Sure.
Always. All right, with that then, let us move to the 2 public hearings that we have. Both are speed zoning inputs here. Moments. All right, then we'll begin with TC 811 and 812. We'll open the statement of chair opening of each hearing. This will apply to both of them in the interest of time and brevity, but we'll both follow formality in the process the remainder of the way. The Traffic Commission will now hold hearings on TC numbers 812 and 813. The hearings will begin with a report from the City Traffic Engineer, followed by testimony from the person who submitted the proposal. City Traffic Engineer's report will list the applicable substantive criteria and the reasons behind the recommendation. We will then hear testimony from other interested parties. If you wish to testify, please clearly state your name and address. When given permission to speak on the phone or through video, your evidence and testimony must be directed to the criteria in section 6.02.060 determined to be applicable by the City Traffic Engineer or other criteria, current city, metro, tri-met, state, federal laws or policies which you believe apply to our decision. After the hearing is closed, the Commission will deliberate on the evidence received, make an oral decision to approve, approve with condition, or deny the proposal. The decision will not be final until the final written order is signed by the chairperson. All persons who testify will receive a written notice of our decision of the final decision to the Commission. Decisions of this Commission or recommendations to City Council become effective after approval by Council. Typically, Traffic Commission recommendations appear on the consent agenda of the Council and are approved by the Council without discussion. City Council ordinarily does not conduct a public hearing on such recommendations. Any decision of the Commission may be appealed by the City Council to City Council. When the appeal is properly filed, a separate hearing will be scheduled before the Council. Any appeal must be filed by the City Recorder within 10 days of the date of the Traffic Commission's final written order, and the procedures related to written appeals are available from the Office of the City Traffic Engineer and City Recorder. So with that in mind, again, that will apply to both of our processes. And we will begin now with TC 812 speed zoning on Southwest Denney Road between Highway 217 and Hall Boulevard. This will begin with a report by staff. Mr. Khasho.
Yeah. This request is from staff. In the past, the city has received several requests from residents who live on Southwest Denney Road and the surrounding area to reduce the speed limit on Denney Road west of Highway 217. Residents were concerned about the safety of pedestrians and children who walk to school. These requests were not processed. As to lower the posted speed limit, it requires Oregon Department of Transportation to investigate the speed zone and issue a new speed zone order. At the time, ODOT used the measured 85th percentile speed as an indicator in setting speed limits on public roadways. The 85th percentile means 85% of the drivers drive at or below this speed. During that time, the 85th percentile on Denney Road was at or above the current posted speed limit. In May of this year, ODOT adopted a new process, and the Oregon Administrative Rules has been revised for setting speed limits on public roadways. Instead of using the 85th percentile speed and prevailing speed as an indicator in setting speed limits, the new process uses the 50th percentile speed, or the average speed, and also they use the functional classification and the context of the land use and density in the area specifically inside urban city limits. Other factors such as roadway geometry, side distance, design speed, crash history, and the amount of direct access are still considered in setting the speed limits with the new process. The new process requires the engineering study to recommend a speed for a roadway that falls within the range of recommended speeds listed by context and functional class. For collector streets, the list includes the following. Urban core collectors, the speed is between 20 miles and 25 miles per hour. On urban mix collector, the speed should be between 25 and 30 miles per hour. In suburban, commercial, or residential collector, the speed should be between 25 and 35 miles per hour. And on suburban fringe collectors, the speed should be between 30 and 40 miles per hour. Currently, the speed limit on Southwest Denney Road west of Highway 217 is 35 miles per hour. The street is classified as a 3-lane collector street. There are sidewalks on both sides of the street. There are no bike lanes on Denney Road. The intersection with King Boulevard is currently controlled by a signal, and that signal also functions as a school crossing at Vos Elementary School. The surrounding area by Denny is mainly residential in nature, and many children who live in that area actually walk to school. Recently, the construction of a multi-use path on the north side of Southwest Denney Road between Defano Creek and King Boulevard has been on the way. It is almost completed. It is anticipated that the completion of this project and the recent project that the Traffic Commission approved, installing sharrows on King Boulevard and on 105th Avenue, will increase the amount of pedestrians and cyclists on the roadway. In September of this year, a traffic and speed surveys were conducted on Southwest Denney Road between Highway 217 and Hall Boulevard. The average daily traffic ranged between 8,000 and 9,900 vehicles per day. The measured 50th percentile speed ranged between 32 and 36 miles per hour. The 85th percentile speed ranged between 36 and 40 miles per hour. Pre-COVID traffic and speed surveys, such as in September 2018, showed that the average daily traffic on Southwest Denney Road ranged between 10,250 vehicles and 12,700 vehicles per day. That was in 2018. The 85th percentile speed ranged between 37 and 39 miles per hour at that time. It appears the functional class and the context of Southwest Denney Road between Highway 217 and Hall Boulevard fall under suburban, commercial, or residential with a recommended speed of 25 to 35 miles per hour. Based on the 50th percentile speed, the functional classification of the street, and the context of the land use, staff is proposing to forward to the state a request for a speed zone investigation on Southwest Denney Road with a recommended speed of 30 miles per hour. So we are asking the Commission tonight to approve this request.
Excellent, thank you. Stephanie, are there any comments or requests? Okay.
No request.
Okay. Very good then. Let me get back here. All right, with that then, since there are none though, it seems we're not going to have any staff comments. Mr. Khasho, was there anything though you wanted to add outside of what was opening statements there?
No, I was wondering if there is any members from the public want to testify in the waiting room.
There's people there. Oh, somebody raised their hand.
Yeah, I saw somebody put their hand up.
Yes, April Beatty would like to speak. Okay,
All right, we recognize that.
okay, there she has been unmuted.
Hi, my name is April Beatty. I live at 16830 Southwest Sorala Street in Beaverton, Oregon. I currently use this road to commute to the 217 to go to and from work, and would not understand the reduce for the speed limit. I feel the speed limit is more than accurate and adequate based on the housing residential area, the appropriate use of sidewalks, the traffic lights. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. A couple of questions though for you. You're not concerned about the school or no bike lanes for kids who want to go, or as noted, there's a couple of spots where the sidewalk is not as good. I know the new part where they're doing the Denny or the Fano Creek Trail extension up to King, but you're not concerned about the overall area there for pedestrians and cyclists.
No, so I feel that it's appropriate because of the speed zone that is in effect during school hours. There's the light there where they are supposed to cross with the well-lit sidewalk. So no, I don't feel that it's dangerous in any way.
Okay.
I wish
Thank
they
you.
would finish the sidewalk though. Like that's been under construction for what feels like a year now.
Yes, I think that that's a combination of THPRD and the city at work on that. Says that was a joint venture as part of that. Also, there'll be a flashing beacon there, which THPRD offered to assist with as well. I don't believe we have the timeline yet, but yeah, that's being worked on. So, all right, appreciate the comments. Are there any questions of Commission? Mr. Khasho? Yes, sir. You're on mute, sir. You're still on mute, Jabra.
Sorry about this.
No worries.
Could you please ask Ms. Beatty her address for the record? We did not ask this.
Oh, she stated at the beginning, I thought, but all right. Yes, Ms. Beatty, would you please state in if you represent yourself or a group, and then your address one more time for the record so we can get that into the meeting minutes.
Oh, April Beatty. I'm representing myself, and my address is 16830 Southwest Sarala Street, Beaverton, Oregon, 97007.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, we just need to have that for the information for the meeting minutes that they put in, and then they don't post that, but we keep it as part of the overall detailed record. Mr. Brown, was that a question, sir? Or Commissioner Brown, sir? Yes.
Yes, a quick question for April Beatty. Can you be a little more, clue me in on exactly where you live? Just generally geographic. I can't see, on the map I have, I don't see a street names.
Geographically, I live in the Cooper Mountain neighborhood.
Okay, so this section at Denny is on your commute.
To and from work, yes.
Okay, okay.
So, you do, so basically the Denny Hart, the Denny Hart process, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, and I do know, okay, thank you. Before we go on, are there other questions of Commission? All right, thank you, Ms. Beatty. Well, we'll consider that and listen to everything going on as well. So thank you.
We have one more person who would like to speak.
Thank you, Stephanie. Please.
Janine.
Janine, and again, if you'll state if you represent yourself and or a group, and then your address just for the record.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Janine Girardo. I live on 6750 Southwest Sussex Street, Beaverton, Oregon, 97008. I'm very close to Lombard, Hall, Allen, and Denny. I'm right in the middle of all those streets. I've been living in that area since 2001. I access all of those very frequently from work and also personally for doctor appointments, shopping, etc. And I at one time had a family that utilized the school that's on Denny, right before the 217 interchange on Bose. I think it's Bose Elementary. And I have seen no indication of traffic or justification to lower the current speed of 35 to 30. What would be beneficial that I do see is on Lombard, there's a lot of obstruction because of the traffic parking on both sides of the lanes. And maybe some no parking areas would be justified and crucial. So to unobstruct the views from those streets, the neighborhood streets onto Lombard. But as far as lowering the speed, I don't believe that's something that should be done. And again, I've had children from here that walked from my home down to there without any problems to their school, along with the prior neighbor that raised her concerns and opinions. She is correct where there was traffic guards on Denny and Lombard, and right there at the corner. There's no signal, but there were crossing guards to help with pedestrians during the school zone or school period time frame, and plus that signal that the neighborhood children cross to go to the school at Bose. So it's I felt very safe all this time frame that I've been living in this neighborhood. Plus lowering of the speed to 20 miles an hour during the school when it is open. I understand that this year's been a little difficult. Hasn't been challenging that issue, but when it was in service, there was no instances that I saw warrants the reduction of speed.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions of commission? Excellent.
Can she spell her last name for me, please?
Yes, I can. It's spelled J-U-R-A, D like dog, O.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I guess the last question, since there are no bike lanes in the path from King basically up to Lombard, because Hall doesn't, Hall, I guess up to Hall has the same kind of, it's a wider sidewalk, but technically I believe we had the conversation before. Mr. Khasho classified that as a sidewalk, not as a multi-use path. That there's no bike lanes along there. Is that a concern at all for you?
Actually, I've been a bike rider to and from work, which it didn't hinder me from riding on the roadway, on the sidewalk, and being cautious was just what I did, and I didn't have any incidences as a bike rider myself.
But you rode on the sidewalk, not the street.
I did.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions, final? All right, appreciate that. Thank you, Janine, and appreciate April, you're speaking as well. Appreciate the time you took to come in as well and be part of the process, and appreciate your thoughts and concerns as well. Stephanie, was there any other? I thought just the two.
Looks like just the two.
Okay, very good. Thank you. With that in mind, then, we'll close the public comment portion and follow up. Mr. Khasho, were there any follow-up questions, or I mean comments?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, I do have one question in regards to specifically the speed reduction. The other ones, I think we've had some discussions on. I think that 813 as well will be something we'll consider. But this one I think was unique in that, have we talked to ODOT about the impact of closing the Allen Denny on-ramp, off-ramp, and making that star when they start that next year? Have we discussed the traffic flow? Because when I spoke to ODOT and they did a presentation for our NAC, they didn't actually understand the amount of traffic usage that is Denny Hall Hart. They didn't seem to understand the flow of that. And I think one of the concerns I have is that I don't believe residents along 217 or the corridor that use those two interchanges understand the impact that closing that that intersections or the on-ramp, off-ramp is going to have.
Yeah, when they combine both ramps together, basically it will increase the traffic at the intersection at the ramp itself. So there will be more traffic going through Denny to go on 217 southbound because they cannot get on from Allen. So they have to travel to Denny to get, to get to 217.
Correct.
So that intersection, it will increase the traffic on it. But as far as Denney Road, it will remain the same.
You don't think that traffic flow or that'll change any people go up Allen instead or make adjustments?
No, because when you get off, you could get off to Allen the same way we do now.
Okay. But all right, I just I wondered if the city had discussed that with ODOT at all. I just am interested in some of the changes that the auxiliary lane will have along all of 217 and the change in traffic pattern and traffic behavior and driver behavior is more one of the thoughts I had.
It will change the weave and the merge and diverge on 217 where the ramps are now. And it will increase safety at the highway.
Right,
because right now people are getting on from Allen Boulevard and some are exiting going south to Denney Road, and sometimes that weave it appears it results in many crashes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, I just was interested if the city had felt that there would be any impact or change to the side streets as a result of the entire auxiliary lane process, and this would be. This to me seemed like it would be one of them. So because I would think the traffic patterns are going to change just a little bit. But okay, thank you.
Potentially during construction, it might affect traffic, on the side streets because there will be closing lanes on the highway and it will increase, congestion on the ramps. So there might be some shift where people, let's say they want to exit Allen, it get too congested, then they go to the next ramp, get to Denny. Potentially it could happen.
All right, thank you. Other questions, Commission? Commissioner Brown?
So Mr. Khasho, are we being premature then, given these potential shifts in traffic and the way people move and or might, as part of ODOT's work, might they see some of these speeds differently than they do today and want to wait until they see how things play out? What do you think?
I think it's time to do it because during construction, they will not do it because things will be abnormal during construction. And if you wait till I believe the construction will be completed by 2025. So you wait 5 years, it's 5 years, passed without doing any change. I think it's the right time to do it. And to be honest with you, the street qualifies for 25 miles per hour because it's residential. And the proposal is to drop it only 5 miles, similar to the section east of 217.
Follow-up question. Do we have, I guess we have other locations where you get off at 217 and immediately the speed limit on the sides, the cross street is 30. It works that way on Allen, is that right?
We have Allen this way, BH Highway also the same way. It's 30 miles per hour.
Okay.
Vice Chair McClean?
I don't have a question for staff, but I just want to make my comment. I'm in favor of sending this request to the state. Studies I read, reducing the speed can help avoid collisions. It helps give an opportunity for quicker reaction time and also reduce stopping distance. Lowering the speed can help prevent collisions from happening. Second, if there is a collision, the lower speed means it's a less severe accident, it's less severe. So I'm in favor of, doing these studies and, where we seem necessary, lowering the speed. If the state says, no, I don't think it's necessary, no harm, no foul. And then third is I don't think lowering the speed 5 miles an hour is going to affect people's commutes. I don't think it's going to dramatically increase, how long it takes the public to travel between these areas. The speed does not, increase or reduce congestion. So, I'm in favor of both of these requests to send them to the state.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioner Urbanski?
First of all, I should point out there was a written submission from a Travis Vanucci, who also was against this motion. We didn't mention it yet, so.
Oh, excellent.
I'm sure
Thank
you all
you.
received it.
Right.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions for Mr. Khasho. First of all, in the report, it says the primary reason for this was because the staff had received many comments from residents in the past. They were concerned about the safety of kids walking to school, but none of those have submitted a report today. And so my question is, when did they request this? Because a lot of improvements have been made to that road. As was pointed out, there's a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit at the school now. So whenever the kids are present, it's 20 miles per hour. There's also a crosswalk at Southwest King to protect pedestrians. We passed last March, I think it was, to install flashing beacons at the Fino Creek Trail. So again, when pedestrians are present, there are already traffic calming devices. So the reason to reduce the speed now seems unnecessary, because when there's nobody there, why reduce the speed? And the other thing in the report, it says you normally base this on crash history. Do we have any crash history? Because reducing the speed doesn't always make roads safer. In some cases, reducing the speed can actually increase the danger. So, for example, if suddenly we get more accidents on the road after reducing it to 30 miles per hour, would you propose to reverse the speed limit and bring it back up to 35? If we have no crash history right now, how do we know, how do we evaluate whether dropping the speed limit is beneficial or not?
The bottom line is not up to us to post what speed is on the street. ODOT will do their investigation, and they will treat the roadway as the rest of the roadways within the state. They use the same process for consistency. And it seems many urban areas were requesting to reduce the speed limit, similar to the request we received to reduce the speed limit on Denny. And basically, we did not go through the process because it was based on the measured 85th percentile speed, and now it's not. So people are feeling that in urban areas, you expect to have lower speed than in truly suburban areas.
But isn't it true that this is a feeder road to 217, and pre-COVID-19, there were what, 12,000, more than 12,000 vehicles passing along that street. And if I look at the statistics, it says that 85% of them were going above the speed limit, above 35 miles per hour. So isn't it really an enforcement of the speed limit that's the issue, not changing the speed zone? I mean, if I read the stats correctly, it says 85 percentile speeds were between 37 and 39 miles per hour. So even when it's posted at 35, the majority of those 12,000 cars are going above the speed limit. So it's an enforcement issue.
I mean, the police cannot be there, all the time issuing tickets. I know they do Sometimes they do spot enforcement during certain times, but they cannot be 24/7 there. Also, sometimes it's really difficult to set the photo radar van where there is no room to park it to do speed enforcement, but they try to do it. I mean, it's like I said, the request, it's not just for the sake of reducing speed, because residents had concerns. It's been sometimes, it's more than one request, you know, we received in past time. And some of them are cyclists too. And they say, yeah, we're on Denny, cars are going too fast. We cannot bike on Denny to get to Hall Boulevard. So there is concerns. And I presented this since we have a chance that ODOT will do this. And it's up to the commission, you know, how do you feel, which way you want to go with it?
I think for the record, Mr. Khasho, especially since we have some guests who have spoken, and I know that we've gone through this, actually went through it last month as well. Could you once again state what the process is now if we make a recommendation that we do not change, nor does the city change the speed limit? ODOT will review it and then they will determine that and instruct the city to do that, or they will, what's the process? Just so we get everybody understanding how this works.
Okay. So ODOT will do their study, they do their investigation, and based on the results of their study and their evaluation, they'll determine what the speed should be. Then after they do this, they will send a letter to the city saying, we completed the review and we're going to recommend this speed, certain speed. I don't know what they will recommend. And then they'll ask the city traffic engineer if agree or disagree with their recommendation. If we agree, they will issue a speed zone order and it will become the official speed on that roadway. If the city traffic engineer disagree, there's a process to appeal their decision too. I don't think in my 22 years with the city we ever did this, but there is a process. But recently, since they changed this, you know, the process, the way they do the evaluation, and they say you should pick a speed between these two speeds, we haven't gone through one yet. So my gut feeling is saying that they probably follow the new process, you know, and there is a big chance they'll say it's going to be 30 miles per hour.
Very good, thank you, I appreciate that. Are there any other comments? I do know that Commissioner Brown.
Question for Mr. Khasho. So this is the second time we've started to entertain these speed reduction cases based on the new criteria. I'm just curious, do you see a dozen more of these instances around the city where we might, if we employ a new criteria, the speed limit should be reduced 5 miles an hour or whatever?
There could be some. If you remember last time, we talked about Hall Boulevard to make it consistent like with Watson Avenue. We have Hall Boulevard near Allen. I mean, it's a commercial area, residential, and the speed is 40. And you see people crossing there. So it's legit, you know, to try to lower the speed and follow the new process. I mean, here we're not going to an extreme. We're saying it's open, but we're going to reduce it. I mean, Denney Road has homes that their driveways are along Denney Road. And have you ever, I mean, I drive that roadway quite a bit. It's part of my commute. And you see residents trying to reverse from their driveways, and they cannot do it because cars are zipping through. So it will, lowering it, 5 miles is not much, but I think it will improve safety at that, on that street. It will make the neighborhood more livable than what it is now.
Thank you. I think one thing, Commissioner Brown, that we've talked, like I said, having been on this commission for quite a few years now, some of the staff recommendations come as a result of staff decisions, and some of them come from community members who make requests. I do know that I've heard, and I think this commission has heard before, comments about speed in certain areas, and Denny has been one of them that's come up. I think in what Vice Chair McClean had noted, I think that because community members have made requests, I think that it is appropriate to send this to ODOT and ask for their input as well. I understand what Mr. Ardo and Beatty both commented on, the commute information and the people that are going back and forth, the safety with regards to the school and the crossings and everything. But there are citizens and residents who have been along there who have made several comments before about the speed. And I think given that, I think that we should at least send this to ODOT and ask for their opinion. And as Mr. Khasho noted, we can agree or we can appeal or we can see what happens. Mr. Khasho, sir, and then Commissioner Urbanski, and then Commissioner Henderson.
I just want to mention that Voz Elementary School was the #1 walking school in the Beaverton School District.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioner Urbanski.
Trying to balance, the wishes of the people that live there and the people who use Denny as a feeder road to get to 217, and we're talking like 12,000 vehicles a day, at least pre-COVID. I'm just wondering who speaks for those people. I know we have public notice signs put up to say that we're going to have this hearing, but the people driving the cars aren't going to see those signs. So we're not hearing from the majority of those road users. And I just feel we are not really fairly evaluating the situation. We're evaluating it based on complaints that we've heard in the past, and no complaints today. Everybody who spoke today and submitted comments was against lowering the speed limit.
Good point, thank you. Commissioner Henderson.
I agree with what Commissioner Urbanski had just mentioned. I use this road every day, and 35 means 40. And I feel sorry for the people backing out of their driveways when people are coming at them at 40 miles an hour. But they didn't show up to the meeting. That's tragic for them, because I am in total agreement that lowering the speed limit is a good thing. Then we're also going to this period where people are now avoiding Allen, because Allen has red light cameras and speed cameras. So anybody looking to speed is going to go down Denny. And yeah, you still got the school there. They have to slow down from 40 to 20, and now you're going to add extra traffic to Denny. So I'm concerned about that. But where were the homeowners tonight? They've been very vocal, and they've asked Beaverton Police to put out the trailer, the speed vans, whatever. There's no place to put them. The only time I ever put out a radar trailer on Denny, I got a complaint from a homeowner that it was blocking his view when he was trying to pull out of a side street. There's no way to do traffic enforcement unless you just have a motorcycle cop in a no parking zone, which is actually not allowed. So my heart of hearts says yes, let's go down to 30. But I guess the homeowners don't care. So I don't know. I don't know where to go on this.
Thank you. Vice Chair McClean.
Yes, I think it's difficult if we're trying to take these meetings and say, hey, what does the majority agree to, and let's choose that. I think what we need to do is say, what is the purpose of the Traffic Commission? And the purpose of the Traffic Commission is to create safer streets, a better flow of movement, better traffic, reduce congestion. Those points of the traffic commission are what we should be deciding, not necessarily if 10 or 100 people showed up, 90 people say one thing, 10 people say another thing. We shouldn't really just be deciding on that. Mr. Urbanski, you mentioned that slowing vehicles or slowing the speed down could create less safety. I'm not familiar with any studies that prove that, and I'm not sure what your logic is. I'd love to hear it, but my reading shows that if you slow vehicles down, you increase the opportunity for them to react faster. You shorten the stopping distance necessary to avoid a collision. That's science. I don't know, how you can argue with that. Third is if vehicles do collide, if there is an accident, going slower instead of faster reduces the severity of that damage. So I think both of those things say safety-wise, slower speeds are better. But I would love to, hear your opinion.
If I can just answer, yes, there was a study in the United Kingdom where they found that the accidents on the freeways where there was road construction, when they set the speed limit at, I can't remember what it was offhand now, let's say 40 miles per hour, the traffic accidents increased because people were more stressed, they were busy looking at their speedometers, and there were more rear-end collision accidents. When they raised it to 50, there were fewer accidents, the people were more relaxed because they weren't constantly looking at their speedometer. And in England or UK, they have these average speed cameras where there's a camera that takes a picture of your license plate when you're going into the area and another one when you leave, so they know what speed you're traveling. And so people, when they're going through these road construction areas, which last for many miles, they're busy looking at their speedometers, and especially if there's a big truck behind them, they're more stressed, and by lowering the speed limit, cause more accidents and more stress. So there's just one case where lowering the speed limit doesn't necessarily make things safer. But the argument you make is true. If you hit somebody in a car at 20 miles per hour, it's less damaging than 30 miles per hour. But you could make that, you could extend that and say, we should ban cars completely. We should make the speed limit 15 miles per hour. But we're trying to balance safety with the congestion. That stretch of road on Denny is about 1 mile long. I think it's 0.8 of a mile. I measured it this morning. There's 12,000 vehicles on there. That's going to increase the amount of cars physically on the road at any one time. So there's potential there for more problems. So just reducing the speed limit automatically as a knee-jerk reaction isn't always a solution. And in this particular case, I don't see a strong argument for reducing it because we already have a speed zone at 20 miles per hour when children are present. We'll have one for people crossing at Fano Creek. There's a pedestrian crossing on Southwest King. And then we've got the bike boulevard on Lombard, not Lombard, Southwest King. So bicycles don't need to be on that stretch of Allen where there is no bike lane. So nobody here is saying that it's unsafe right now.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to hold right now and take some discretion here. And normally we would have closed the public hearing portion. I see that Stephanie noted that there is a neighbor who would be willing to speak. I think that given the COVID situation and in the fairness of the situation for what we have, if the person would like to speak, Stephanie, then we would be open to hearing a comment from a resident.
Okay, here is Anne.
Hi, Anne. If you would state your name, whether you represent yourself and or a group, and where you live, please.
And can you hear me all right? Because I'm just using my computer speaker.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure. My name is Ann Wagner, and I live at 6630 Southwest Lombard Avenue. And we've lived here about 23 years. And I guess the first comment was this, that I only became aware of this because my husband mentioned it because he had seen the sign, because I have been staying so close to home that I haven't been traveling or driving. I've been riding my bike and walking within the neighborhood. So as somebody mentioned, the signs aren't very visible to some drivers. And in my case, I think there are a lot of people that use Denny and even Lombard normally that are not currently using it. because they're not going to school. There are a lot of people that cross over at Fano Creek, that crossing at Denny. There are we've now had the bus route within the last year or so. And so I think that's increasing pedestrian traffic. And I both walk and ride my bike. I do cross Denny fairly frequently walking my dogs. I live on Lombard. I can either go down to the school to the light, or I can cross up at King, but traffic doesn't stop. And so I have to be very careful when I cross there. And again, it goes faster than 35. And the other, well, there's several things. One is in concern with the upcoming construction, that traffic will overflow onto Lombard that's not normally there. There will be higher traffic on Lombard. There'll be higher traffic on Denny. And then there is no signal at the intersection of Lombard and Denny. And that's a little bit of a blind hill coming from the east. And depending on how big vehicles are and things like that, turning right, if you're turning left from Lombard, if you're going east on to Denny, and there's a good sized vehicle to the right, you can't see any oncoming traffic. So it just, to be safe, you delay, and I'm not sure how much traffic congestion there'll be and any accidents from that. And I'm not sure how the buses are doing. They seem to turn all right, turning left and things like that. But as I said, with the COVID right now, there are fewer pedestrians, but this is a very highly walked whole neighborhood, both on the north and south sides of Denny and along Lombard.
So I'm sorry, Ann, are you for or against this then?
Oh, I'm for the lower speed limit. And I did know that you were looking for people. Thank you for asking. And it wasn't apparent that you were asking for people that would speak up in favor of that. I think the understanding is you're considering it, so you have gotten enough support that if people are against it, they'll show up and speak. But if you're for it, you just think, okay, it's coming, across, and they're going to vote on it, and it's going to move forward, type of thing like that. So I think it's the awareness of attending these meetings might not be as the average, neighborhood person might not know that they really need to come if they are in favor of it. So I guess it's that for support. So those are, I think, my main points, basically, both on Denny. And yes, was there a question? I'm sorry.
No, thank you. No, continue. That was all. I just making
and I was
sure.
just going to mention too on Denny. I mean, I ride my bicycle on the sidewalk. I mean, because there is no place to ride on Denny, and I ride my bike on Sunday mornings, and I still ride on the sidewalk because it's not safe, or the traffic is not very bike aware, and there's not much space for them to pass you on the street. So it's just safer, and you just go on the sidewalk. And some of the sidewalk on the south side of Denny between Hall and up to about, before King, but it's not the best sidewalk to ride a bike on there either, but
Right.
do what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Are there questions? Questions of commission?
Can you tell
All
me
right.
your last name again, please?
Last name is Wagner.
Thank you.
Wagner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Appreciate your time.
Sure. Thank y'all for doing this.
All right, thank you. I am just, for those, looking through here. Thank you. Just for everyone's benefit, I'm looking through the chat notes and the questions, the Q&A as well. So there is the chat comment, but there's also the Q&A, which is been going back and forth. Stephanie, I appreciate your answering the questions posted there. So thank you.
There is another attendee who with their hand raised.
Oh, okay.
If you're entertaining it.
Again, typically I would not, but I think that in the light of COVID and the situations that we're going through, I believe that this is appropriate that we can go ahead and take one more person on that. So
Okay.
Please.
This is Andrew.
Oh, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
My name is Andrew Stebbins, Stebbins, and I live at 7175 Southwest Hoodview Place. We're almost directly across from the south end of Lombard, kind of kitty corner. So, yeah, I was having trouble technology earlier, so sorry I didn't speak up sooner. I have 3 kids, and I will say that, and we walk, my wife and I walk our dog all the time. And I will say that I think Denny is probably the least safe residential street I've ever lived on. I mean, yes, there's not a lot of, broken glass and accidents, but I've seen a lot of near misses because it's not very pedestrian friendly. I do not let my kids ride down to Vos on the street. They are confined to the sidewalk. My wife and I actually ride our bikes down the sidewalk as well when we go down because there's no bike lane from Hoodview east or west. And for pedestrian crossing wise, the street is not very friendly except for the light at Hall and then the light at King. So there's actually quite a long stretch in there where if you're a pedestrian trying to cross the street, sometimes it's kind of difficult to get travel motorists' attention because once again, anecdotally, I don't have a way to measure the speed, but there are quite a few people that come close to racing down Denny. I mean, it's pretty obvious they're exceeding the speed limit. So in the 5 years we've lived here, I have had one close call personally. So I am in favor of referring this to the state to see about lowering the speed limit.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Urbanski, question?
A question for Mr. Stebbins. So you say you don't feel safe with your kids riding their bikes on Denny itself. If the speed limit was lower to 30 miles per hour, would you allow your kids to ride their bicycles on Denny?
I think it would come down to how, it may even be just enforcement now. If everybody was actually driving 35 to where I was confident they would see bicyclists on the road, then that's a possibility. But right now, I don't have confidence in the way that people drive down Denny.
Because there is one stretch of Denny between when you first get off Hall onto Denny, where it's not.
It's wider.
It's not a good place to ride a bike. Even I wouldn't like to ride on that bike, regardless of the speed. And I would probably choose to ride on the sidewalk, even if the speed limit there was 25. Whereas the other end from the school, from King towards 217, it's a lot friendlier for bicycles.
Yeah, it does.
So
with the Fano Creek Trail improvements down there, it does definitely seem like there's been thought given to moving people from King on the north side of the road down to cross over Denny. The south side, as the speaker before me pointed out, the sidewalk on the south side of Denny is very narrow. And when you're riding a bike on that sidewalk, sometimes you feel like you're almost in the street. And we get quite a lot of truck traffic, not semi-truck, but like box trucks and delivery trucks that travel down Denny. And if they're not hugging the inside line, or excuse me, the center line, they come very close sometimes to the sidewalk and the pedestrians on it. Just a normal travel. So
I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I think that the west section of Denny between Hall and, up to the school, I don't think is particularly safe for bicycles, even if it's 30 or 25 miles per hour.
Yeah, I would just say that I think when people are traveling slower, they have more of an opportunity to notice potential obstructions and things in front of them. You travel less distance and a greater amount of time.
Do you find though that when cars are driving past bicycles, they would typically they're not all reckless, irresponsible drivers, and they tend to slow down if they see a cyclist. I know I certainly do, and I'm assuming majority, if not, well, the majority of car drivers would also respect other road users.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions? All right, I appreciate that. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that for speaking. Anne, I appreciate you taking your time again, April, and Janine, thank you very much for being part of this process. Commissioner McClean?
Yeah, I just want to make one last comment. I completely, respect and understand Commissioner Urbanski's opinion. Based on this information, the staff engineer's recommendation, I think sending it to ODOT to let them do a study, I'm in favor of that. I'll be voting yes. I understand not everyone may be convinced or sold that it's a dire situation, or maybe they think it's safe enough, but I'm always in favor. If we can make things safer, let's attempt them. And I really don't believe, my personal opinion, this will affect traffic. This will affect people's commutes. They're trying it takes to get to work by lowering, a one section 5 miles an hour. So I'll be voting yes. That's my last comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson? You're on mute, sir.
I just wanted to thank Chair Conway for allowing the additional testimony. That was very helpful because that repeated what my opinion was. And really, if people don't show up, then maybe they don't care. But we heard a couple of reasons why. I mean, the COVID. Some people didn't know that we had a meeting. And hearing that just repeated my own feelings that that's a scary road. And the speed limit's too high. Nobody drives 35. They drive 40. And it's so my mind's made up. I think we need to defer it to ODOT.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will make a motion that we approve as written a TC. Let me make this official here so that we can do it. I think we've heard from everyone in the considerations and the fact that a request was put in, the city responded to that and put it in. I know that we've had some questions about do people actually attend when they put it in. I think the speed barriers and speed bumps are an excellent indication of the kind of response that we get sometimes. And I think it's a difficult thing to balance, but I think when people made the request and the city has gone through, and as we heard, there's a mixed review on here. I think that with the auxiliary lane going on, that ODOT should be re-examining what they're doing and how the impact of the auxiliary lanes is going to affect everything outside of that. And I know that they really are concerned. Their primary concern, and the same with all of our intersections, is that their primary concern is getting people on and off of 217, and that's their priority on any on-ramp and off-ramp that we have. But I think that this is a case where, in addition to that, we can ask them to review that, and they should take that in consideration. So with that in mind, I would make a motion to approve as written TC 812 speed zoning in Southwest Denney Road between 217 and Hall Boulevard.
I'll second that.
Too quick. Get back to my other screen. Thank you. So Chair Conway made the motion. Vice Chair McClean, is that you?
Yes,
Second. All right. Thank you. Is there any final discussion? All right, then. Seeing none, we'll have a roll call. Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson.
Aye.
Commissioner McClean.
yes.
Commissioner Urbanski.
Nay.
And Commissioner Conway, aye. So motion passes 4-1 with no abstain. Is that correct? Very good. All right. Thank you for that. And again, I appreciate the information. I think the visitors may want to stay then for the next discussion point. And we'll continue on that. So that said, then we're done with TC 812. We'll move to TC 813. Chair's opening comments still apply for that. In the interest of time and clarity and brevity, comments that you have already made regarding situations of safety can be applied if you feel the need for the next one. And again, since it is Lombard, you may want to stay for that. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong keyboard here. Let me come back. With that in mind, then, what in the world? We will go to TC 813, speed zone in southwest Lombard between Denney Road and Allen Boulevard. Mr. Khasho, we'll begin with your statements.
You're on mute, Jabra.
This issue is the same as the previous one we just went through. This request is by staff, and it's the same. In the past, city has received several requests from residents who live on Lombard Avenue to lower the speed limit on Lombard Avenue south of Allen Boulevard. Residents were concerned about the safety of pedestrians and children who walk to school. These requests were not processed as to lower the speed. It is necessary for the Oregon Department of Transportation, ODOT, to investigate the speed zone and issue a new speed zone order. At that time, ODOT used the 85th percentile speed as an indicator in setting the posted speed limit. The 85th percentile speed means 85% of the drivers drive at or below this speed. The measured 85th percentile speed on Lombard Avenue, south of Allen Boulevard, was at or above the posted speed limit. Therefore, it did not meet the state requirement to lower the speed on Lombard Avenue. We didn't take it through the process. In May of this year, ODOT adopted a new process, and the Oregon Administrative Rules has been revised for setting speed limits on public roadways. Instead of using the 85th percentile speed and prevailing speed as an indicator in setting speed limits, the new process uses the measured 50th percentile speed, or the average speed, and they also use the functional classification and the context of the land use and density of the area, specifically inside urban areas or inside urban city limits. Other factors such as roadway geometry, side distance, design speed, crash history, and the amount of direct access are still considered in the new process. The new process requires the engineering study to recommend a speed for a roadway that falls within the range of recommended speeds listed by context and functional class. For collector streets, the list includes the following. Urban core collector, the speed should be between 20 and 25 miles per hour. Urban mix collector, it should be between 25 and 30 miles per hour. Suburban commercial or residential collector, it should be between 25 and 35 miles per hour. And on suburban fringe collector, it should be 30 to 40 miles per hour. Currently, the posted speed limit on Southwest Lombard Avenue, south of Allen Boulevard, it is 35 miles per hour. The street is classified as a two-lane collector street. There are sidewalks on both sides, and there are bike lanes on both sides of the streets. The area surrounding Lombard Avenue between Allen and Denny, it's mainly residential, except near Allen Boulevard, it is commercial. There is a shopping center in that area. Many of the children who live in those areas, there is a lot of high density units on Lombard Avenue. Many of the children who live there, they walk to school and they ride their bicycles. In July of this year, traffic and speed surveys were conducted on Lombard Avenue between Denney Road and Allen Boulevard. The average daily traffic ranged between 2,950 vehicles and 3,750 vehicles per day. The measured 50th percentile speed ranged between 29 and 33 miles per hour. The 85th percentile speed ranged between 33 and 37 miles per hour. Pre-COVID traffic and speed surveys were taken in September 2018, showed that the average daily traffic on Lombard Avenue ranged between 3,800 and 3,900 vehicles per day. The 85th percentile speed was measured at 39 miles per hour. It appears the functional class and the context of Southwest Lombard Avenue between Denny and Hall Boulevard falls between urban mix and suburban commercial or residential with a recommended speed of 25 to 35 miles per hour. Based on the measured 50th percentile speed and the functional classification of the street and the context of the land use, staff is proposing to forward to the state a request for a speed zone investigation on Southwest Lombard Avenue with a recommended speed of 30 miles per hour. I want to mention something that I did not mention in the previous issue, is that those recommended speeds are actually in the state statutes. So when Oregon Department of Transportation do their study, yes, they look at the 50th percentile speed, but there will be consideration for these tables, as it is the law now.
Thank you. With that, then, we would open the public comment portion. Stephanie, was there any speaker requests?
Yep. Here.
All right. All right, and we'll begin with the order they did. Again, as this is a new testimony hearing, we would ask that you again, paperwork, state your name and address, whether you represent someone, and I should have added before whether you are for or against this, and then go ahead and let us know what you're feeling, Janine. Thank you.
Hi again, Janine Gerardo. I live and have lived from 2001 at 6750 Southwest Sussex Street, Beaverton, Oregon, 97008. And I'm against the increase or the decrease in speed.
Okay, was there any, did you want to add anything or the reasoning concerns?
Just from the Denny Hall conversation that I had before, now this street was the one I was talking about with the, the parking, maybe no parking in certain areas to help with unobstructing views. But other than that, I don't need to, unless I need to repeat.
No, okay, thank you. I think, yes, so you're basically saying my previous comments are good enough.
Actually, I did want to say I believe I agree with Mr. Urbanski. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, about his opinions and his discussion that I've been listening to. And I also want to know if there's a way I can contact ODOT about TC 813 and TC 812 so far. Is there any way public can contact ODOT?
Mr. Khasho, you want to clarify that? But I believe anybody can contact ODOT and put in. I have if you want an ODOT contact, I have it. The person, in fact, they're coming to the Denny Whitford Raleigh West NAC meeting next week to present on the auxiliary lane update that they're doing. And at that time, you certainly could get some contact information and reach out to them directly.
Okay, and this is the same day and time next week?
No, it's different. Mr. Khasho?
Yes, they can contact ODOT, but ODOT will refer them back to the city.
Okay.
Very good. As a follow-up to that, though, for clarification, Janine, Denny Whitford Raleigh West meets at 7 p.m. On a different neighborhood program meeting. You can find those notes on the city's website, though, for their NAC, Neighborhood Association Committees, which are not HOA. There's actually a city. It's actually a city deal. If you call the city's neighborhood department. You can get all the information you need about how to speak with that. And if you don't want to and just want to talk to ODOT directly, you can certainly reach out to them as well.
Okay.
But they will be presenting next week, or I'm sorry, next week on ODOT's update to the auxiliary lane process as it relates to the Denny Allen interchange.
Lane process. Okay. I also would like to just real quick indicate that a lot of these concerns is only speed related, but there's so much more to being responsible behind the wheel as a driver. And defensive courses should really be part of renewing licenses, period. I don't understand why there isn't actually protocol for that to take place, to people to prove certification that they've taken a defensive class. I've taken them and they're proven effective. And I wish that that's where it all should start. It's too much of this. The speed is going to just irritate people. It's not going to help. I really believe that. And
all right. We can bring that part up. The other part I wanted to address, and I should have said that last time before you did, the parking close to it sounds like the issue is parking close to the intersection and the stop sign. You can make a direct request to the city. The traffic engineer has the ability to mark no parking before an intersection without a traffic commission hearing. So if there's a safety issue for that, or a view or a blockage, you can ask the city to investigate that. And if the traffic engineer can take care of that themselves, they will. If not, then they would bring it before this commission. So I should have said something before when you brought up the parking view on Lombard before. So my apologies for that.
oh, it's fine. And I appreciate the information. Thank you.
You bet. Were there other questions, Mr. Ardo?
No.
Okay, and commission, I see none from the commission. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate that. Stephanie, is there any other? Yes, there are. Okay, we'll take the next person then, please. Thank you.
This is Anne again.
Okay, and Anne, same thing applies. Thank you very much and appreciate it.
Okay, Ann Wagner, W-A-G-N-E-R. The address is 6630 Southwest Lombard Avenue. And I am in support of the proposal. And I had a question regarding, I know I saw the I don't know, like, I don't know if they're wires, the cords, whatever, across the road, which I think was probably the traffic check as far as count and speed check. And do you know if those were 24-hour multiple days, or if it was just during like 8 to 5, or do you know any of the time frame when they do those testing?
Those are put out full time, 24/7. They don't turn them on for just a few minutes and then turn it back off. But Mr. Khasho, I believe you're going to answer that.
Yeah. How many days, or what days, or?
Mr. Khasho, or is that a sergeant?
It all depends on what the data is going to be used for. For traffic calming, the program requires the whole week. For a speed study, we do 1 to 2 days because the speeds will remain the same regardless what day you are in.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't know because, you know, come Saturday night, it's a drag strip. So just wondering, I know I saw it during the day one weekday. So that's why I was just wondering if it was, you know, the duration of that testing, because it does differ morning when kids are going to school versus at night and such. And the one concern or comment I will make, and I appreciate hearing about the traffic engineers, the person to contact regarding blockage, because again, there are a lot of children, a lot of parents with children, you know, mothers with a stroller and 2 kids walking to school, and there is no light except for at Allen and Lombard, and there is no light. There is a traffic person or school traffic on the weekdays, I guess, during school hours or whatever, at Lombard and Denny. But otherwise, crossing the street, it's not the, you know, you have to be very careful, whatever your age. And those were my main questions. I think, again, part of it's enforcement. And, but I support the 30 mile per hour. Again, the concern is with the additional construction because of the auxiliary. I'm sure we're going to get more traffic and people are going to be in a hurry.
Thank you.
And then the other, I guess, let's see, Allen and is 30 mile per hour, and then they get on Lombard and it's 35. So just consistency there would be, I think, beneficial. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Unless
Thank
anybody
you.
had any questions for me.
Yeah, are there any questions of commission? All right, thank you, Ann. Appreciate it. Stephanie?
I think that's all the hands that are raised.
Excellent, thank you. With that, then we will close the public hearing portion. Mr. Khasho, when you do your comments, I have one follow-up question as well. If you could do that. When I read this and I looked at this before, it appears from the 85th percentile that people are already driving the posted 35, right? Because I think the speed was 33 to 37 was the 85th percentile, which would mean that most people are already driving the posted speed limit and 50% of them are actually driving slower than the speed limit. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And then the public hearing portion being closed, are there any other staff comments?
I don't have any comments.
Very good. Then we'll begin commission deliberations. I believe Vice Chair McClean was first, then Commissioner Urbanski second, and then Commissioner Henderson.
I was just going to add, I'm in favor again. I don't think I have anything to add. I'll pass my time.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Urbanski?
I just want to point out that there was a written comment sent in from again, Mr. Travis Fanucci, and this was against lowering the speed limit.
Correct. Thank you.
I want to make my personal opinion about this street because it's a long street and it's got a lot of things going for it. It's fairly wide. It's got bike lanes. The sidewalks are set back from the actual pavement with the grass verge. But the one thing that bothers me more than anything is the parked cars. There are parked cars all along, well, not all along, but on the, let's see, the west side of the street. And this creates a terrible obstacle to viewing if you're driving down that street heading towards Allen, because if somebody opens a door, there's very little time to react. If there's a child hiding behind a car, runs out into the street, there's very little time to react. If somebody gets in and out of the car or the car pulls out, there's very little time to react. So even though the road itself has a lot of things going for it, the fact that there are cars parked all along the west side makes it a hazard if you're going any faster than 30 miles per hour. So it may sound counterintuitive from what I said in the last motion, but I am for reducing the speed limit from 35 to 30 on this particular road because of those parked cars.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson?
Yeah, that's good to hear, Commissioner Urbanski. I agree. I just wanted to mention that, you know, the speed limit on Lombard north of Allen is 30. The pinch point really is all the apartments that are just south of Allen, and people are speeding up to 35. That's where all the bus stops are. All the buses stop in front of those apartments. So now you got kids crossing the street and all that. That's a complete mess. But the other thing I have to bring up is that there is a development going on the south end towards Denny. So they've recently just opened up a new cul-de-sac, built 12 homes there. They're about to build 24 new homes just north of that. Now you're going to add more cars coming out on to the road. And it was kind of a country road back in the days. On the west side of Lombard, there was nothing there. Now they're actually doing urban infill. So we kind of have to plan for the future here. And I'm totally for the speed reduction.
Thank you. And again, I think one thing to point out with this one as well as the other one, these are requests by the city and the Traffic Commission to review the current situation. That does not mean that ODOT will come back with a proposal. They could say that, you know what, it's working the way it is, and kind of move on. So I think just one thing for the clarification for both of the last one and this one, we're making requests for them to review it. It doesn't necessarily mean everything's going to go. So in some cases they may agree with us, and in some cases they may not. So I think we just need to put that out along with what Mr. Khasho said, the whole process and how it takes. Also, I believe the process we found typically from the time we submit until we time to get back and make some decisions is somewhere between 6 to 9 months. Is that correct, Mr. Khasho?
Correct,
So-
sometimes more.
Yes, so even though we're looking at this and working through it, by the time everybody gets everything going, this is still, and it gets updated, this could be as much as a year, likely before we see the results of this study. So are there other comments or questions or motions?
I'll make a motion to approve TC 813 as written.
All right, motion made by Vice Chair McClean. Commissioner Henderson?
I'll second that motion.
All right, very good. Seconded by Commissioner Henderson. Is there any final comment? All right, seeing none then, roll call. Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Vice Chair McClean?
Yes.
Commissioner Urbanski?
Aye.
And Chair Conway is an aye. Motion passes 5-0. Excellent. Thank you for your time and appreciate that. With that in mind, they are the only Traffic Commission's items on there. Next up would be old business. Mr. Khasho?
I just want to mention that we received the final written orders that were signed by you
Oh, fair. Thank you.
today. Today I checked in the mail room, and sure enough, they were there today.
My goodness. Okay, because I usually get them that day. When I get them that day, I usually sign them and turn them back within the next morning, and if not, then it's no more than 1 day ahead. And so that's almost a week, I think, because I'm pretty sure I sent those last a week ago Friday, or whenever I received them. It did take, and I will say, I believe it took longer. Stephanie, I'm not sure when you sent them. I should probably contact you and confirm that I've received them and that I've sent them back. So I'll remember to do that next time. But yes, I did not receive them, I think, until a week ago, Wednesday. I missed it Wednesday night when I checked. And so I filled them out Thursday night and sent them out Friday. So it's almost a week.
I'll email you when I send them so you can start looking.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Is there any new business? Vice Chair McClean?
Just want to update on old business. Commissioner Henderson and I were meeting with the BCI back in February about reviewing the traffic calming. And so I still have the homework. I need to decide, and we need to work with them if we want to meet virtually or just postpone it a little bit longer about reviewing the traffic calming. So I don't have any updates right now, but I still have that on my plate to follow up.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Any new business? All right. I had two things. One of them is, again, I think we already noted that Denny Whitford Raleigh West NAC meets next week. ODOT is trying to do some updates and notifications. They're also going to have an open house. I believe that is next month on the entire project. If you have questions, Lily has noted that she is the, I want to say Division 1, Area 1 contact, and she's also the project coordinator for the auxiliary lane project on 217. So if there are any questions about that, she will happily reach out and discuss. She will attend meetings if you have a neighborhood, a community meeting. They're also doing, again, the open house, and they will be at the Denny Whitford Raleigh West NAC next week presenting information and updates specific to the Denny and Allen interchange and traffic pattern update. And then I had one question for Mr. Khasho. I guess that the city could look into it. It seems that the Allen and Shoals, the Shoals northbound left turn lane seems to always trigger left turn green, even if no one is in the storage lane. And I had somebody else check, and it looks like it just always is triggering. Eventually it goes to the flashing yellow and traffic can go, but it looks like I don't think the trigger's working. It looks like it always just happens. I thought maybe somebody was driving over it or crossing it, but I couldn't really see. So I had a question about that, and then I had to go out and take a look as well.
I'll ask operations to take a look at it.
Thank you.
Probably bad detector.
Very good. Anything else? All right, last thing then, Mr. Khasho, December, will we be meeting?
No, we will not have anything ready for the commission to review in December. So we'll see you next year.
Sounds good. All right, then. We'll look forward to everybody in January, or I guess it's possible. Do you know about a January meeting, or is it we don't even know about that yet?
Yeah, probably January. We'll
Okay.
have something, yeah.
All right, very good. Then we'll see everybody then. Hope you have a good time and a happy new year. And again, for those that visited and taken part in the process, thank you for being a part of the solution and trying to help reach good things. Appreciate your time and effort. And alternate Sherry Moore, thank you again for attending as well. All right, good work. Thanks everybody.
Thanks,
and we're done. Stephanie, thanks.
Have a good night.
All right, thank you. Sergeant, thank you again.
Thanks, sir. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Thank you. Have a good night.